It's funny, first the Liberals said, Poilevre has no policies. And then they said, okay, he does, but they're really scary. And now they say, they agree with all my policies. You know, imitation is the highest form of flattery. If they put tariffs on our steel and aluminum, I will put tariffs on their steel and aluminum. If they hit us with generalized tariffs, we will respond dollar for dollar. Yes, we will carefully target American goods that we don't need, can produce ourselves, or we can get elsewhere to maximize the impact on Americans while minimizing the impact on ourselves. And if Canada is not your friend, who is? You see, because that is the promise that this country makes to every Canadian, regardless of birthplace or background, that anyone from anywhere can achieve anything, that hard work gets you a great life with a beautiful house on a safe street, protected by brave soldiers under a proud flag. Anna and I are deeply grateful that this country made and kept us that promise. And it's actually why we've decided to get into this line of work and fight for it our entire lives, both of us very young when we did so. It's why that we've put our names on the line. We are in this fight today because we want to restore the promise the country kept for us and assure every single Canadian who works hard can experience the wonderful Canadian promise the country gave us. But that promise did not happen by accident. It took courageous leadership for us to be here today. And we as Conservatives have a special duty to carry on that legacy. Conservatives, as the party of Confederation and John A. Macdonald, will restore the promise of Canada. Our founding leader united our country from the Atlantic to the Pacific and warded off American designs to dominate our continent. In the words of our great first Prime Minister, Conservatives will fight, and I quote, to give us a great, a united, a rich, an improving, a developing Canada, instead of making us a tributary to American laws, American railways, American bondage, and American tolls. That is the rich Conservative legacy to Canada, deliberately resisting American annexation for hundreds of years. Now more than ever, we owe this country, we love this country, and we will fight every day and every way to pass down to our kids the blessings we inherited from those who came before us. Sometimes it does take a threat to remind us what we have, what we could lose, and what we could become. The unjustified threats of tariffs and 51st statehood of Donald Trump have united our people to defend the country we love. We must respond with strength, and strength means leverage. America has leverage, and we have leverage. I will use that leverage. Retaliation is only the beginning. Yes, we need to retaliate. If they put tariffs on our steel and aluminum, I will put tariffs on their steel and aluminum. If they hit us with generalized tariffs, we will respond dollar for dollar. Yes, we will carefully target American goods that we don't need, can produce ourselves, or we can get elsewhere to maximize the impact on Americans while minimizing the impact on ourselves. 100% of the proceeds of these counter tariffs will reimburse our businesses and workers that are directly impacted, and the rest will go to tax cuts to relieve Canadians. Not one penny will go to government spending. We cannot use this crisis as yet another Liberal excuse to raise taxes or to do money printing spending, which will only cause inflation. What we will do instead is use our leverage to fight back. We will make sure that Americans know that they will be paying the tariffs they impose on us. I will send the clear message so that everyone in key American states understands that they will pay the price for the decisions to punish our country. Refinery workers, home builders, automakers, and others will need to know that their jobs depend on the goods we sell them, and that tariffing those goods will lower their wages and threaten their jobs. And it doesn't stop there. America cannot power its energy-hungry future without buying surplus power that we make. You know, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta are all turning to nuclear power, in some cases buying or building their own nuclear plants to power AI data centers. In fact, these data centers, you know, when you do a chat GPT inquiry, it takes 10 times as much electricity as a Google search. Isn't that incredible? That's the power of this AI, artificial intelligence. You know we have artificial intelligence in the government, eh? A different type. The Americans will need nuclear, natural gas, hydro that can power those centers. And we have cold weather here that reduces the cost of cooling them. We can leverage that power while protecting our people. Americans need our radar, surveillance, ongoing cooperation to keep us both safe against intercontinental and supersonic missiles and other threats. They need our minerals, uranium, oil, and gas. Finally, we must remind our American friends that a trade war will simply reduce the funds both our countries have for our shared North American defense. It will make us less safe. As Winston Churchill said, though, you can always count on the Americans to do the right thing after exhausting all other possibilities. So let me spell out the possibilities for our American friends and speak directly to them. Option one, you can carry out an unprovoked attack on our economy. Your consumers will pay more and your workers will make less. Gas prices will skyrocket. You will turn a loyal friend into a resentful neighbor, forced to match tariff with tariff and to seek friends everywhere else. Both our economies will weaken, leaving less money for defense and security, and our enemies will grow stronger. Yeah. Option two, we trade even more, and both our workers make more. Our consumers pay less. The resulting GDP boost allows Canada to further strengthen its border and up our military spending to 2% of GDP faster. Oh, and there's something else. There's something else I'd like to say to our American friends. We've always loved you as our neighbors and friends. There is no country with whom we'd rather share a border, the longest undefended border in the world. We know America is the biggest economic and military superpower the world has ever known. And we've been a good neighbor. We fought on the same side of the same wars. We paid with Canadian lives and treasure to fight for America, avenging the 9/11 attacks. Yeah. You have your grievance with us. We have ours with you. But I would ask you this question. Which other country would you rather have as your neighbor? And if Canada is not your friend, who is? See, the problem is at times we might be too polite, soft-spoken, and humble for our own good. We are slow to anger and quick to forgive, but never confuse our kindness with weakness. So let me be clear. We will never be the 51st state. We will bear any burden and pay any price to protect the sovereignty and independence of our country. Which option the Americans will choose is up to them. But let's be honest. We have to be prepared for the worst. Simply put, we can no longer depend on the Americans alone for our trade. We can no longer think of them as our backup defense. These threats, my friends, are a wake-up call. We should be the wealthiest and most self-reliant economy in the world today, given our natural resources. But instead, here we are. We have the fourth biggest supply of oil, yet we must import 179 million barrels of foreign oil every year because of the Liberal No New Pipelines Act, which is still law today. We are the 5th biggest supplier of natural gas, but we can't export a single cubic foot of it overseas because we don't have a single liquefaction facility. We sell twice as much to the Americans as we sell to Canadians in other provinces because trade barriers governments impose block us from selling and buying with each other. We have the 3rd most farmland per capita in the world, yet food prices rose 37% faster in Canada over the last 5 years than they did in the U.S. because the Carney-Trudeau carbon tax on farmers and truckers rose the price. Now, what have the Carney-Trudeau Liberals done about this? Well, they doubled the debt. They doubled housing costs. They doubled food bank lineups. They blocked Canadian energy in favor of dirty dictator oil. They raised taxes on work and investment and have driven an astonishing, eye-watering $500 billion to the United States in Canadian investment that now pays to create American jobs. All of this before a single tariff was applied. Now, Liberals would like to instrumentalize the tariff threat to distract from the record of the Carney-Trudeau Liberals over the last 9 years. They say that we should just forget about all the damage they've done to our country because of the tariffs that might be coming down the road. In fact, the opposite is true. Think of it, my friends. If Carney-Trudeau policies did this much economic harm before tariffs, imagine the devastation they would cause after tariffs. You know, the media is now saying that I should change my entire platform because of the tariff threat. In fact, the Trump tariff threats have proven conservatives right on everything. It's true. Everyone now admits, or they claim to admit, that conservatives were right on the Liberal capital gains tax hike, that conservatives were right on the carbon tax, on pipelines, on LNG, on fentanyl, the borders, immigration, and the need to celebrate rather than cancel our proud history and country. It's funny, first the Liberals said, Poilevre has no policies. And then they said, okay, he does, but they're really scary. And now they say, they agree with all my policies. You know, imitation is the highest form of flattery, but you cannot believe them. My friends, it is not realistic that we would believe a party 60 days before election suddenly reversing itself on absolutely everything. If you want conservative policies, you will have to vote conservative. The coming election will decide whether Canadians want Mr. Carney's sneaky, job-killing, inflationary carbon tax or whether they want to axe the tax for everyone, for real, forever, with the common sense conservative.